Hi, how's everyone doing? I'm Mariana. And ever since I posted my story with eating disorders, I've been having some common questions, so today I'm gonna answer them. No, I didn't do a Q&A, but I did put together 10 questions, so that's where I'm gonna answer. I see a lot of these Q&As related to eating disorders and anorexia in general, but not related to bulimia. The question that people ask me the most is, are you fully recovered? I started recovering in March 2018, which has been 3 years, but I'm not fully recovered at all. I still struggle a lot with food and being surrounded by food and just thoughts in general. I went all in to bulimia recovery, which has helped me in a way, because if you go into semi-recovery, which I have been for so long, you don't truly recover because you're still on that stage, so you're still sick. Just for you to have an idea, I had a small relapse 3 weeks ago, so it still happens. It's not a linear path. Don't think that you're gonna go into recovery and it's gonna be all the way up. No, there's a lot of times I go back and I can't control myself. For example, it's lunchtime and I think, okay, it's okay if I binge now because I'm not gonna have dinner. And this still comes in my mind, and it's like a slip of a second where you can make a decision. And if you decide to engage in that, then you just go with the consequences. But it's like you can think, it's not a rational thing. That's why it's so hard. And it has never happened that I didn't have dinner. You'd say this, but then you still do. And then you just feel incredibly guilty and bad with yourself. I used to say this, and I don't want anyone to write this as something I said, but I would prefer to be addicted to cocaine, for example, than to be addicted to food, because at least it would be something that I could just put on the side. I still need to eat, I still need to nourish my body and care for it, but it's so hard when it's something that's you need it, but at the same time you cannot eat too much, but at the same time you need to eat. It's a process and it gets better. And I don't want anyone to be scared of full recovery, because it's so much food gets better. It does get better. The second question I'm gonna answer is, how do you deal with being surrounded by foods with COVID-19, being stuck at home? And honestly, I've been struggling with overeating, obviously, because the way I used to cope with bulimia and with overeating is that every time I felt I had this urge to go and eat even when I didn't need to, so I knew it was not me, it was just my brain playing tricks on me, I used to go out. I always had things happening, a very structured routine, so that I was not thinking about food and was thinking about, something I was learning, the people I was with, and to be present. So being home, and especially not having a clear structure, it's hard in a way. And in the beginning I tried to do a food schedule, I would have breakfast at 9, then I would have lunch at 1, then I would have snacks and dinner, but it was not working. Every time I try to control myself, it's worse, because my mind just goes places, and thinks that I'm restricting again. So that's something as well with diets. There's a balance that you should have with I should be healthy, but I can't do a diet, I'm not vegan, but I'm plant-based, so I choose to eat plant-based. And it's I don't consider it a diet, but if I would say now, for example, I would be gluten-free, I knew that it would be purely because of a diet, or follow a ketogenic diet, or a low-carb, wherever it is, so you're restricting. So that goes counterintuitive into your recovery, so that doesn't work. So even if you're home, you gotta have a balance between, okay, I should eat at these times, but if I feel like eating, I should still eat. And this is not easy, and I'm struggling, but this is my advice. Something else people ask me is, how did I overcome anorexia? Because if you see my story, I've been struggling with anorexia for years, and then it changed into bulimia. So I didn't really overcome anorexia when I actually realized in this last year of anorexia that I had an issue, and that I didn't want to be in that place forever and going to the doctor and I had to be struggling all the time. I was I need to eat, and I forced myself to eat when I didn't want to, because it's so hard when all your life you've been restricting on so many things, and suddenly just eating a little bar of a Kit Kat made my brain want to explode. You can imagine how it was with just carbs and everything that I was not eating. And when I went to the UK, I had all these things, and I started eating, and something changed in my brain, and I just couldn't stop eating, because I just had been saying no for so much time that now Like you can't, you just like literally cannot like handle things that you have no control over. So literally I went from anorexia directly into bulimia. I don't want to say my triggers, everyone is different. And this is just my personal experience. I'm not a professional, so I'm just talking about my personal experience because I feel like people also relate more with when you're like, I was just eating too much and I needed a way to just get over that. And then I just learned how to throw up. Not something I would advise, even if you get in your mind, you think it's not gonna be bad. Oh, it's like, it's just a myth. Oh, it's something I do sometimes. Please don't, like you damage a lot of your physical health. My hair was not growing and was falling and I felt weak and tired all the time and just not good with my body. And then it was easy in a way to just get myself over the fact that I was feeling bad for being like so packed with foods, and that I just did that. But then you can't get out because then it becomes a cycle. In the beginning I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna do this because it's like it's easy and it makes me feel better because I don't want to have this inside of me. But maybe you should, because it helps in the long term. Another question I get is like, did you ever think about going to rehab or a clinic to get treatment? And I did think about it and I did search for it, but I don't know where you're from, but especially in Europe, the only ones that were available, and even my mom was trying to send me to one, the only ones that were available were like for drug addicts. So you could go there and you'd have like help, but it's not specialized. The awareness also comes from the availability of help, I'd say. And about staying in the hospital, I went to the hospital sometimes on emergencies, but I never stayed there because I was not like the most critical, extreme condition, and there were people that were worse. So yeah, I just needed to do it by myself. People also ask me how did I deal with extreme hunger and binging. If you don't know extreme hunger, it's like when you've been restricting for so long that you're lacking calories and vitamins and minerals and everything. So your body just craves everything and doesn't have a limit because you have an hormonal imbalance. So basically you just want to eat the whole world, everything that you have ahead you want to eat. Let's not compare, please, what I've done with like what everyone is doing, because everyone's different. And what happens for me, my triggers, everything is not the same as for another person. For me, basically, I was just binge on carbs. Like I would eat a kilo of pasta with like, I don't even know if I look back how was it possible that I was eating that much food and still not being full. But the thing is, I was like, okay, I need to eat like 4,000 calories a day, and I gained 10 kilos in about like 3 weeks, which is not healthy, but I mean, it just worked for me. This extreme hunger lasted for about like 3 months. That was very intense, and I was just like journaling every day, and sometimes I would be very packed and couldn't breathe. And I did go to the hospital twice because I've eaten too much. It was not nice, but if you don't go into that, then you also don't recover. So what they don't tell you is that you should not portion your foods, because that extreme hunger, it's necessary and it's gonna go away and it's gonna become easier. I'd say maybe how did I deal with it? I was meditating a lot on that time to help me. If I didn't had encountered that, I don't know how I would have done anything. And also going for walks. Every time I was like, okay, I'm already binging, I need to eat, but okay, calm down. I would just go breathe and drink water, drink a lot of water. People also ask me how did I start wanting to recover? And I would say you don't need to have like a point where you're like, okay, I need to recover. I know it's very important if you go through this, wherever stage you are at, that you want to recover. For me, it was not the case, but again, don't compare. I have wanted to recover for so long, I just didn't know how to. So when I committed to this was because I had an episode where I threw up blood and I passed out. I woke up and I was like, I can die from this. Honestly, I wasn't scared. I was not scared of dying, and I'm still not scared of dying. I'm scared of not living. I'm gonna recover, and I'm gonna recover today. And that's how I started. Another question I get asked is like, do you count calories to know how much you need or to not overeat or something like this? And obviously not. Like, if I'm supporting no diet and no diet life, then obviously I don't count calories. I think that's very counterintuitive. But again, that's for me. Maybe it works for you. Then, how do I go through the hard days and relapses? It does happen sometimes. Now, less. Like I can say in 2020 happened like 3 times, and this year like happened already once. I always take it as a turning point. So it's like I'm super like confident. I'm like, oh, I'm good now. I can like go out. I can eat wherever I want. I'm recovered. Usually I feel super hungry like when my period is coming, and that's when I relapse. It was always on these time frames, and I just relapse and binge and purge and over exercise. And then I think like, okay, you're not recovered. You need to be stronger. This was your wake-up call. So I always take this not as a step back, but as a step forward to just do better, and be more conscious of what's happening in my life and with myself and why did that happen. So I always like reflect and then turn it around, you know, instead of going down, like bring me up, like, okay, you need to be stronger, you need to be better. You are not in control and you need to be in control, but not be in control. I get asked a lot as well if you should exercise while you're in recovery, and I would say it depends. I was still exercising in the first year I've recovered, and I should have stopped in my personal case, because if you're like committed into recovery, you should be like understanding how much food you should be taking and when and how and your anger triggers. And when I was exercising, independently of me thinking like, yeah, because I'm doing it because I want to be healthy and it's also helping me with my mental health and all that. And be negative sometimes when you're like using exercise, even if you don't think about it, to counterbalance how much food you're taking. So I think you should be aware of that, and especially in the beginning, I don't think people should exercise. And this was so hard for me because I've been exercising every single day of my life ever since I was like 8 years old. You telling me that I can't exercise, that would be the most horrible thing in the world. It depends on you. But if you do choose to exercise, if you think that's not going to damage you, just go slower. Don't be like me and go like lift a lot of weights. Just go for walks. Just do something that's like yoga, for example, gymnastics, something that stretches your body, because I think that's important, but not like super intensive, I would say. But it also depends on the person, obviously, so don't take my words as like the rule. The last question is, what's my main advice for someone that wants to recover or is going through recovery? I would say that if you're not in recovery, but you are considering it, or you know that you have an issue that you want to overcome, please do. Like, you won't regret it. Your life will be very hard in the beginning, it will. And after that, you will not want to go back to the first place. Picture yourself being like in this cycle in the long term, and your life will not be enjoyable. You cannot be with people because your mind is always just food and just going home and like doing this and all the time going back and forwards. So recovery takes time, it's a process, and that people used to tell me this, oh, you know what, it gets better. And I'd be like, yeah, but right now it's not easy and I wanted to kill everyone. But it does get better. And I'm telling you, it's been 3 years and sometimes I still have like a little bit of reflux. My hair is not fully grown and I do think about food a lot of times, but it's so much easier. And like, if I imagine myself where I was and where I am right now, I have so much life and I have like so much energy for life, and I'm just in love with life in general. So I don't want to go back to the other place I was, and recovery is worth it. I think what I would say is do recover, do seek help, do talk about it with whoever it is. You don't think people care. And maybe they don't, because they don't know how to deal with it. But everyone is going through something similar. A lot of people struggle with food. I think it's the hardest thing to struggle with, but it's worth it. It's really worth it, and you will never in your day regret when you're recovered, and you will want to help other people, like I am. And obviously not easy to talk about these things and be like super vulnerable, but I think it's necessary, and I think more people should do it. So I'm also opening like doors for people to talk about it, because it's a thing that a lot of people go through, especially bulimia. I think people hide it more because it's not as clear, because your neighbor, your best friend can be going through that and no one will know. Like, I was going through it and no one ever knew it. I would say just go for it. If you have questions or if you just want to talk about something, you can leave a comment down below. You can hit me up on my Instagram, call me, call someone, and yeah, let's try to make this world like more inclusive, and where mental health is something that should be everyone's priority and it's not a taboo. I think this would be a beautiful world and I would like to be part of this world. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope that this helped anyone going through whatever you are going through, and yeah, sending love.